The rain has been speaking to the station glass for a long time now. Soft station rain. Not a storm that asks you to run for a platform. Just a patient sound on windows that face the tracks. Quiet enough that you could almost mistake it for silence if you were not listening with the part of the mind that still likes company. Somewhere along a quiet platform edge, lamps make soft gold circles in the wet air. Puddles hold small lights. And if a waiting room keeps its door unhurried, and a single lamp still glowing above empty wooden benches, that light does not compete with the night. It only marks a place where someone might sit without needing a destination. You do not have to do anything here. You do not have to keep a timetable. If your eyes want to close, they may. I will speak slowly. The rain will continue, and nothing urgent will be asked of you tonight. This is a quiet place for quiet stories. Soft lore of stations after dark, told the way someone might tell it if they were sitting beside you with no need to prove anything. There will be no sudden turns, no demand that you stay alert. Only rain, wood, soft amber, and a voice that does not mind if you drift away in the middle of a sentence. So settle if you can. Let your shoulders drop. Let the next breath be a little longer than the last. We are already inside. The tracks outside are only weather and steel that has finished its loud day. And the seat kept for the traveller who is done racing, if it waits nearby, is only company. If you look around, or if you only imagine looking around, you will notice how much of a station waiting room at night is made for stillness. Wooden benches that have learned the quiet of late arrivals who never needed to hurry. A floor that holds the soft scuff of shoes that finally chose rest. A high window beaded with rain, looking out on a platform that no longer asks anyone to board. The air smells faintly of rain on stone, of old varnish on bench backs, and of wool that has dried near a warm corner. It is not a sharp smell. It is the kind that belongs to rooms after the last loud departure has thinned away, and to thresholds that have held both journey and pause. Somewhere in the station's memory, a seat was left free on purpose, and the leaving free was enough. Above the tracks, the sky is a deep charcoal cloth, soft at the edges, more like a blanket than a stage. If far lamps still show along the line, they are not hard, bright coins. They are pale friends in the rain, silvering the wet platform without asking you to look out and stay awake. Inside, a single lamp, or only the idea of one, may keep a small amber island on the wall or above the benches. Its light is soft and limited, which is a kindness. A wide, bright place can ask too much of tired eyes. A small circle is enough. There may be a timetable board that has gone soft in the corners, no longer demanding to be read. There may be a seat near the window, turned slightly toward the rain, as if someone knew the view would be better company than the clock. There may be a quiet corner where bags once rested, and where now only air rests. Soft evidence that people have been gentle here. If your mind is still carrying the noise of the day, you can set it down on the wooden floor beside the lamplight. You do not have to organize it. You do not have to solve it. asks of your face. No one is waiting for your reaction. No screen is brightening to pull you forward. The only flicker is the lamp, and even that is steady enough to trust. In a world that often rewards alertness, this is a small permission slip written in rain and amber. You may become less available now. The wood is cool if you imagine resting a hand on the bench back. Not cold enough to wake you. Cool the way public rooms are cool at night. Patient, older than your lists, willing to hold the quiet without complaint. The rain continues its long letter on the glass. You do not need to answer it. Listening is enough. Somewhere a distant rail may settle once under its own old habit, and then grow quiet again. These are not interruptions. They are proof that the station is a kind room for rest, settling itself the way a body does in sleep, automatically, without drama.
Listen again to the rain. It has not changed its mind. It will keep its steady conversation with the station windows while we stay. And if, far along the soft dark line, the night continues its larger quiet over wet rails, let it be only company. Sound, not a task. A large dark friend that does not need you to keep watch. There is a story told about places like this, not as a warning, and not as a claim that must be proven, only as something the night seems willing to hold. It is said that some stations keep a second kind of timetable for people who are no longer in a hurry. Not loud, not dramatic, simply the idea that a seat can wait when a traveller has finished racing the day. In the soft tellings from many towns, people speak of waiting rooms that felt ready even after the last call, or of benches that seemed to hold a little warmth because someone had practiced readiness as a habit rather than a performance. The stories are gentle. They sound like good manners practiced by a building itself without a show. People who tell the tale sometimes speak of lamps and rain glass in different ways. What matters is not the catalogue of fixtures. What matters is the habit at the centre. Arrival without force. Welcome without performance. Care for the mind that is tired of being clever about where it is going next. You do not need to believe in anything unusual. You only need to believe that a seat can feel kinder when you stop racing toward the next thing. That is the calm heart of it. A mind can rest. A day can end without a perfect destination. Waiting can exist without a train to earn it tonight. In one telling, a traveller once stepped under a station canopy after soft rain and felt a strange relief, not because they needed rescuing, but because the waiting room looked ready for rest, a place to sit, a lamp making its small gold island, glass a soft colour rather than a clock face to conquer. Predictable gentleness is a kind of lullaby for the mind. It says, the next moment will resemble this one. You may soften. If this were a different kind of story, someone might invent urgency or a night of trouble. Here, we can call it a habit of belonging made soft enough for sleep. The station stays kind because someone, over and over, chose to treat ordinary quiet as something that does not need an audience. You can pretend if you like
like that such care rests somewhere on these benches now, not as a mystery to solve, only as a shape of calm. You do not need to finish a journey. Knowing the night can hold a long sit without urgency is already a kind of company, like knowing a blanket is at the foot of the bed, even when you are not cold.
There is another turn to the story, quieter than the first. It says that such seats never meant to impress anyone. They simply preferred a place where thought could breathe at the end of a day. Some tellers speak of them the way gardeners speak of soil, not because they answer in words, but because care sounds better when it is spoken softly. A version of the tale mentions a bench near the rainiest window, where lamplight made the wet glass look almost gold at the edges. In that corner, a soft welcome opened only when shoulders stopped hurrying. No one in the soft tellings was required to choose forever between perfect progress and rest in a single night. The story allowed temporary stops, temporary stillness. A hand allowed to put the day down and still be a careful hand. Some people, hearing this, imagine many platforms, a long corridor of glass, a small ticket desk left gentle, a row of empty seats facing soft dark rails. Others imagine only one lamp, one wooden bench, and rain writing the same long letter on the panes. Whether those details are true does not matter much. Sleep does not require footnotes. It requires a room that does not jab the nerves. And if, somewhere in the lore of quiet stations, soft care is still practicing its one gentle trick, making less of the day without making a scene, then it is doing what we are doing now, returning again and again to emotion soft enough to rest beside. Let that story rest for a moment. You can keep it if it feels warm in your hands. You can set it down if your mind has already begun to soften around the edges. Either way, return with me to the waiting room as it is. The lamp is still making its small gold island on the wood. The rain is still writing the same long letter on the glass. The benches have not moved. They do not need to. Movement is not the only proof that something is alive. Patience is another. If your eyes have closed, keep them closed. If they are half open, that is fine too. There is no test at the end of this hour. There is only the continuing rain and the next soft story waiting in the quiet, about a seat kept for the traveller who is done racing, and welcome that does not need an announcement. You do not have to stay awake tonight. Something careful was left ready before you arrived. That is enough.
Near the quieter end of the room, past the first row of benches, before the glass becomes a full wall of rain and charcoal, there is a seat that the second story likes to mention. Some nights, if you sit there now in imagination, you can almost invent the quiet of it. A place left ready. A strip of wood that holds a little of the night's cool welcome. Nothing grand, nothing demanded, only the shape of staying still. The tale belongs to people who understood that not every kindness needs to be the size of a festival. The great journeys have their work. The ordinary evening has another. At the end of careful days, a seat might wait, not as a prize under contest, but as soft manners, the way a porch light is left for someone arriving late. And those who passed later, under a hood of tired thoughts, or only the patient station rain, sometimes said the room felt less alone. Less alone, in this telling, is not a crowd. It is a clearance of pressure. Tomorrow's lists can wait. Tomorrow's
cleverness can wait on a shelf at home. Tonight the bench holds only itself, and a little soft shadow that does not mind being there, and the soft drip of water from the eaves that has decided to let go. It was not a rule written on a board. It was a habit. Leave a little readiness for the night. Sit when sitting is kind. Then rest where a lamp makes a circle the size of 2 open hands. The room does not need your eyes to stay orderly in the dark. It has done this many nights. It knows how to wait.
People who saw such things did not always stay. Sometimes seeing was enough. They would stand under an overhang of quiet, shake rain from their sleeves in the mind only, and feel their breath lengthen, because the station had decided, for a few hours, not to ask anything of them. That is a quiet kind of magic, not the kind that rearranges storms, the kind that rearranges hurry into something smaller. In one version of the tale, a young person once asked why anyone would trust a seat that only feels ready when you stop forcing the next departure. An elder answered, without making a speech of it, because some doors open only when your hand is not clenched. In another version, there is no young person and no elder, only the bench and the rain and the simple fact of welcome that does not keep score. What matters is not the exact century or the exact custom. What matters is the decision repeated until it became part of the station's weather. Or for rest, not for legend, not for bargain, for the possibility of one tired person sitting without earning the next stop.
Of course, stories grow soft edges when told for years. Some say the seat was always a little warmer than the wood around it. Not dramatically, not in a way that demanded explanation, only the way a place feels when someone has been kind there recently. Some say later generations continued the habit of looking at that corner and feeling relief, without knowing the first reason. The way people inherit a recipe and keep making it because the house smells right when they do. If you want a moral, it can be simple. You do not need to carry every unfinished task into the evening. A seat can be empty of hurry and still be complete. A mind can set down its cargo and still be itself in the morning. And even when the seat stays empty for a while, it still holds its quiet shape for the person who left it carefully. Rest, even unnoticed, steadies the room. Rest steadies the night. So let the quiet station seat glow in your mind for a moment. Small lamp island, glass as soft gold, rain silver on the platform beyond. Then sit with me, if you like, away from the far side of the room and back toward the deeper quiet of one soft bench, where the lamp continues its own soft duty. The two kinds of care do not compete. One greets the long night of unfinished plans. One keeps company in the near quiet. Between them, a person can cross from the weather of the day into rest.
Above the platform, if cloud is still practicing its slow fold over the dark line, it does not mind the smaller lamp nearby. Care has room for more than one scale. A sky for the long dark, a niche of gold for the near dark, a voice for the mind that is ready to set the day down. You can imagine a soft turning without a locked gate, not closed against the world in anger, only turned the way a page is turned when the chapter is enough for tonight.
remain on the bench, still allowed. If a thought arrives about unfinished lists, let it hang its coat on a peg of patience and wait. The peg is patient. The list can stay unfinished. The station in the story never asked anyone to earn the night first. The rain remains on the glass, still speaking. You remain on the bench, still allowed. If a thought arrives about unfinished, let it hang its coat on a peg of patience.
If you are still with me, even softly, we can take a slow walk through the quiet waiting room. There is no place you must reach in a hurry. The walk itself can be a resting place if we do it in imagination only. One quiet step at a time. Underfoot, the floor is soft with ordinary years that have travelled the same line from door to window. Your steps, if you invent them, can be slower than usual. There is no one behind you asking you to hurry. The bench, if there is a bench near your hand, is cool and steady under a palm that can rest lightly. At a place where the glass opens a little wider on the night, the rain becomes a closer companion, still patient, still writing its silver lines. That is a lovely balance. Weather outside, shelter of wood around you, voice nearby. Many of the best nights in a life are made of exactly that triangle. You might pause where the window shows only soft station night and water-beaded glass. You do not need to see a horizon. Knowing the night is large is enough. Knowing you are not required to manage it is better. These rooms were shaped by people who kept simple care and did it without drama. You can borrow that posture now. Hold one simple task. Breathe. If you imagine a short step farther, only in the mind, past a corridor of benches the colour of warm wood and soft shadow, you may see or invent a seat that does not need to be claimed. Quiet without fuss, kind without speech. Then turn back. Returning is part of the comfort. In sleep stories, we do not leave you on long, empty platforms. We bring you home to the same lamp, the same circle of gold, the same patient weather. On the way back, you may pass doors that do not need to open tonight. You may pass a corner that leads only to more quiet. Sit again, if you like, on the unhurried seat. The waiting room remembers how to hold a person who has set down their day. Let your hands rest open or closed. Both are correct. Let your jaw soften by a single degree. That degree is enough to begin. The stories can settle now, the way mist settles into the softest hollow when no one is measuring it, not as neglect, but as peace. Stories of waiting rooms after hours, a seat kept for the traveller who is done racing. You can keep them as you keep a smooth stone from a quiet shore, not because you must explain them, but because they feel steady in the pocket of the mind. Around you, the quiet, rainy station continues its night work of simply existing. Wood holds, glass receives the rain, the lamp spends its light carefully. None of these things demand applause. They are reliable in the way sleep wants the world to be reliable. No
No sudden rearrangements, no tests, no raised voices. If your thoughts still wander, you do not have to catch them. Let them wander the quiet aisles of benches without you. They will tire eventually and find a corner. You can stay here in the warm circle, breathing at the pace of rain. There is nothing you failed to finish by resting. There is nothing you must earn before the next breath. The day can remain outside with its wet platform and unfinished lists. This waiting room was made for the opposite of urgency. You do not have to stay awake. Soft care, if it rests in the story only, rests without needing your hand. Deceit, if it waits in gentle amber, waits without needing your eyes. Your only task, if you want one, is to let the shoulders drop another fraction and allow the next breath to be uncounted.
I will speak less now. The rain will take the larger share of the sound. If words continue in your head after mine thin out, let them be soft ones. Bench, lamp, glass, rain, home. You are allowed to sleep. You are allowed to leave the stories half-remembered. You are allowed to wake later with only the feeling of rain remaining, and perhaps a soft station seat that means nothing more urgent than the night was kept, and so will you. Rest well. The quiet waiting room will keep its quiet watch. The lamp will not mind if you do not see it. And above the tracks, without needing an audience, the soft rain will go on speaking gently to the grass, long after my voice becomes only a soft edge of memory, and the station continues being